Okay, welcome to the June 12th Civil Service Commission meeting. First item on the agenda is our Pledge of Allegiance. Here we go. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Attendance, the full board is here in attendance. Our solicitor is here, as well as Sergeant Rocco Wack. Sergeant Wack, why don't you introduce yourself?
Like Karen said, my name is Sergeant Rocco Wack. I've been with Plymouth Township Police Department I'll be completing my 27th year in August. And sometime this year, I'm going to be promoted to the position of lieutenant.
Yay!
Yeah, congratulations. Thank you.
Yes, Sergeant Wack, soon to be Lieutenant Wack, will be the liaison between the police department and the Civil Service Commission. Did everyone receive the May 2025 minutes?
Yes.
From the last meeting? Can I get
I move we approve the minutes from the last meeting.
Can I get a second on that motion?
Second.
All in favor say aye.
Aye.
No opposed, the motion carries.
You know how much smoother this is going?
Next up is the police department report. So Sergeant Wack, I will turn it over to you.
Okay, the first thing I have is from the chief. It's a chief certificate for Officer Michael Brown. He will be advancing from second class patrol officer to the position of first class.
Excellent. Can you tell us a little bit about him to refresh our recollection?
Officer Brown was hired in 22, I believe. He is currently assigned to Sergeant Adams' squad. He's a nothing but good things, writes good reports, proactive officer, very well respected within the department and also the community.
Excellent.
Can I ask a question?
Sure.
Yeah.
I'm just curious, when you say from second to first,
So there's stages from probationary officer, and then each year you advance up to a class, and it kind of goes along with their salary. So your salary is based on the class of officer. Once you get the first class officer, you're at full salary.
And are the responsibilities like the same from the moment you come in, or as you progress, do they change?
Responsibilities are the same, but there's certain things you can't take promotional tests and things like that unless you're a first class officer. Obviously, there's a difference from probationary officers to a first class officer. So probationary officers are usually, they're younger officers, or if they transfer, they kind of learn the way that Plymouth Police does it and things like that. So, but as far as the overall, once they get the job, regardless of what status they're in or what class they're in, it's not until they get to first class that they can go on and take on promotional exams.
Got you. Thank you.
How many classes are there?
I believe there's probationary, third, second, and first.
There's actually two classifications for probationary.
Correct.
One probationary officer level that already has the police academy, and the other probationary is a hiree that does not.
Okay.
It's just like Sergeant Wack said, it's just the differentiation is salary.
Okay.
So basically, Sergeant Wack, everybody who comes into the police department and is hired as a probationary officer starts out in patrol, correct?
That is correct.
Okay. So then they have to work their way through the ranks of patrol to be able to laterally transfer to any special units or anything like that?
Correct. Nobody comes into the police department and goes right into criminal investigations.
Okay.
Or right into the highway unit.
Okay. So Mr. Plant is one of our newest members to the board, so his questions are relevant because he doesn't know, and I'm glad that you're asking those questions so that you do know. And then in addition to the patrol division, what other divisions are there in the police department?
So we have, right now, the way that we have patrol, criminal investigations, and then a highway unit. We have K-9. Right now, there's only 2 officers in K-9, and we have community policing. The community policing officer, there's only 1. And then I will also go over some of the restructuring that our department's going to be doing over the next so many months. That includes some of those positions and who's overseeing. But overall, the majority of officers are in patrol. We've expanded to finally 8-man patrol squads. That includes a sergeant on each squad. Criminal investigations, they have 8 people back there, including the sergeant, but that falls under community policing, falls under them, and also juvenile detective.
What does highway do?
So they are primarily responsible for traffic. So they handle anything as far as traffic complaints. If there's an accident call, they usually go out to the accidents. They handle those reports. Anything that really has to do with that. When I know with the traffic calming and the new software that we were able to obtain, they're using that to kind of make sure to get out in the right places at the right time to make sure that they're being used efficiently for that. So, thanks.
Go ahead with your update.
Okay, so our newest officer, Michaela Freeney, she graduated yesterday from the Montgomery County Police Academy. Lieutenant Wagner and I both attended that graduation, and we have received nothing but positive feedback from some of the officers that were her instructors. Earlier today, she took the MOPEC test, so there's no issue that we foresee that she would have any problem with that.
What's the MOPEC test?
So in order to get certified as a police officer, you have to pass and get it's the Municipal Police Officers Education Training Commission. So they're the ones that certify you as a police officer that you can go out and make arrests and things like that. So I apologize, I'm sweating
okay.
here.
We're sweating you.
Sweating me out.
Up room.
Officer Watts, one of our K-9 officers, and his partner has just recently graduated from the K-9 Narcotics Detection School at the University of Penn. Our cop camp is upcoming next week, June 16th, and it's also the largest class of cadets that we have, which is going to be 32 cadets coming into our class. Actually, it was 33, but one had to drop out. So that's good that, we have great participation from members of our community. The restructuring that's going to be occurring within the department that I was mentioning, Lieutenant Wagner will replace Lieutenant O'Brien as the administrative lieutenant upon his retirement. Lieutenant Kopstick will have no significant changes on his current assignments, and I will be taking over as patrol lieutenant upon promotion. And also here with civil service, I'll be the representative going forward. Lieutenant O'Brien wanted me to mention that he will be attending the civil service. Regardless, he'll be returning the civil service meeting in July. Our department has a newly created position of an administrative sergeant. Sergeant Kyle Wilhelm has been appointed to that position and actually will be beginning in that role next week. And with the last promotional test for Sergeant, Officer Phillips was the next to be promoted. So he will move over and take over for Sergeant Wilhelm. And due to vacation and things that he has in July, he will be then promoted at the council meeting in August. Detective Fullerton, who's our juvenile detective, he was next after Officer Phillips. He will be promoted to sergeant upon Lieutenant O'Brien's retirement, and he will be taking over the squad that I currently supervise. On this past Monday, the council meeting, members of Sergeant Andrew Adams' squad and members of the detective unit received a unit citation for a kidnapping and robbery case that occurred in January. Officer Andrew Murdoch and Detective John Fullerton were individually recognized and received merit awards for that same incident. Detective Ponzak also received a merit award for at least 2 fraud cases that he investigated that not only led to arrest, but also the recovery of money to the residents in excess of over $100,000. It was really good work on his part. I think it's been mentioned before, but the Lincoln Center, who we use for our social services, they are in the process of writing a grant for us. That grant is for a virtual reality de-escalation and use of force training system. So we've gotten them all the information, the budget information that they need to go forward and write that grant. So that's in the process. Hopefully it gets done, and hopefully we can receive that money. We did have a demo with it, and it's really good because it's not only just a scenario. The scenario can change. So if I'm the one who's the instructor on it, what I can do is, based on what the officer's doing, kind of talk and change the scenario based on their actions. So it's kind of unlimited what can be done with it. So it's really, really cool, actually. It's a cool system, but I believe it's also a very useful system, too. We're also looking to utilize more grant opportunities with the Lincoln Center, and also Lexipol, who we use for our policy. They also have grant writing. So that's discussions we're having as we're approaching the budget for 2026, if that's something that we may want to employ. June 27th, it's a company called the Critical Response Group. We will be having a demo at the station along with members of the fire companies. And basically what they do is they come out, they map buildings. So they'll do a floor plan, they'll take an aerial view, and in that floor plan, they'll go in and they'll get the old records, but they'll actually go into the buildings and actually kind of properly map it. So, and then what they do is then they provide it to the different first responders, but it will allow it to grid. So I guess the way they were explaining it was that the owners of the company were special forces.
Okay.
So a lot of times when they would do different things, they would go in and say, grid it out. So everyone knew where like A7 was. So in this case, if there's an incident, whether it's an active shooter, whether it's a hazmat situation or anything like that, they provide this, and then it'll be available to all emergency management services. And then that way we all know where to go. So communication's a little bit more fluid and consistent amongst all the different groups. So fire, EMS, police. So we'll see. They have a demo. They mentioned that they do not charge first responders. When we have the demo, we kind of
How
want
do
to
they make their money?
How they usually
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking. I'm like,
So they said they get it from grants and through the schools and businesses. So we have some questions about that when they
I
come in.
can see that.
Who are the grant writers?
Yeah. So we'll see.
School would want something like that.
I attended Cody, our record management system. So we went to a conference for that, and they were there. So we thought, and I know the chief is kind of taking on emergency management, and we're trying to consolidate all our resources, police, fire, and EMS, under one umbrella. So this way it would be something that could kind of fall in there if everything works out. So we'll see. That's why we're just having a demo, but I think it'd be a good thing to bring up as if we continue with it and go forward, just kind of keep you guys in the loop. So there was one on the police side as far as cases and things like that. We executed a search warrant with the Montgomery County SWAT team, and that was in connection with a pretty widespread county gun investigation homicide case. So that's still ongoing. Everybody was safe, kind of went through pretty flawlessly with no injuries, no damage. No issues with the public or with police, so it's kind of the way we like it when it happens that way, so. And then finally, yesterday I attended a meeting about the Cleveland Cliffs Steel Plant on Conshohocken Road. If you are not aware, they are scheduled to idle the plant indefinitely. So
Definitely?
indefinitely is what they don't have an end date. So I'm not sure, so it was originally scheduled to be idled on June 30th.
Yeah.
It has,
temporary.
well, they just don't have a,
Yeah.
yeah, they just said indefinitely, they don't have a date, an
Wow.
end date on that. So it was originally supposed to be on June 30th, but that date has been delayed until September 26th. So a lot can happen between now and September 26th, but that's what they're on schedule. And when they do idle, they will have a small amount of staff on the premises 24 hours a day.
Okay.
So they will have people there. We discussed about securing the property, how we will have access. Fire attended that also. So we have a tentative plan on that as far as if we need to get in there. Places of concern that might have access there. And they assure us that it'll be all secure, so.
Because I can see that being used by the Fulton, this new restaurant, as a parking area. Serious.
With that, the
It's
only,
already like half full, sorry, the parking lot, yeah, with their staff, so I agree.
But yeah, I can see it like down that main entrance. People pulling in and then crossing the road, bam!
Just look in front of Phil's.
Yeah.
and then just the last thing, is this something that I would ask to go to executive session?
Okay, let's go to executive session. Okay, we're back on the record at 6:59 PM or 18:59. Anything else for us, Sergeant Wack?
That is all that I have for this month.
Okay.
Sergeant, I had one quick question about your report. The administrative sergeant you're creating, what will that include? How does that, what jobs or roles will that absorb?
So we have found that as our technology has expanded and kind of law enforcement, the more community-minded that it's had, we're kind of have taken on a lot of tasks. So lieutenants and sergeants have been doing things that might be a little bit out of their area, like our highway sergeant, for instance. He was in charge of a lot of the equipment and also in charge of like the body camera and making sure that the videos are properly tagged and that if they're sent out, the parts that need to be redacted are redacted and things like that. So, and it kind of starts to take him away from some of his duties like that. So the idea was it'd be, and also one of the duties that they're going to be doing is on Tuesdays is our court day. And that court day is the officers that are working are down there, and that's the only day they really do criminal cases that the public defender is going to be there. So what happens is it gets backlogged, and the officers are down there. So we've kind of been mixing and matching. The detectives have been helping us out, patrol out. We've worked really well together, but then now it's been a burden on detectives. So the idea was on Tuesdays, the administrative sergeant is going to be kind of the facilitator. So to make it more efficient, he kind of, when people need to come down, they'll come down, and he'll keep track of all the cases and things like that. So, I believe he's going to be taking over like quartermaster, like all those different functions. He'll also be in charge of community policing is going to fall under him. So all these different tasks that have kind of been going out there to, I don't want to say not their job responsibility, but it kind of a little bit takes away from patrol sergeants, takes away from the patrol and special units lieutenant. They're going to kind of fall under him. So there was a need. The chief saw it, and we were able to get that position created. And
Is this something you look to expand in the future? I mean, like in terms of, because it sounds like there's a lot of roles going to be absorbed right there, where that's that job.
Yeah.
It sounds like for one person, it's going to be a pretty big task because.
yeah, I mean, he's going to be Monday through Friday. I believe it's 8 to 4, 7 to 3. And, part of that function and those things that are going to fall under him is, some of it's not going to be every day. So every Tuesday, pretty much, he's going to be locked into court. And that winds up being an all-day thing. So he'll be there all day on Tuesday. But the other days, there's certain things like weapons inventory. We don't do weapons inventory every week. So it might be once or twice a year or 4 times, like once a quarter. So it's these different things that have to get done, but they don't necessarily get done every single day. But I mean, but there's still going to be people that he's going to supervise on a daily basis.
Thank you.
Any other questions for Sergeant Wack? Okay, old business. Anyone have any old business that we need to return to? Any new business? All right, no new business. Let's move on to the compliance report.
Just really quickly, want to remind everybody who wasn't here, last month we had the Citizens Academy, and Chris was terrific. He spoke on behalf of all of you guys and did a very nice job talking about the work that you do and why we do it. It was I don't think you had it prepared, but it sounded like you were prepared. It was awesome. It was really good. It was really good, but he represented you. Yeah, right.
Or opening, I don't know.
He represented you really, really well. And since we're looking like we may be hiring somebody else, I'm going to go pull the Rule of 3 lists to make sure where we are with respect to, I'll have that ready for next month, just to make sure we're good to go.
So I have a question for you, Sergeant Wack. Scott's been interfacing with Lieutenant O'Brien when we need stuff like that done. So now is he communicating with both of you for the time being, or is he continuing to interface with only Lieutenant O'Brien?
So he can, one of the things Lieutenant O'Brien did ask me to add me to the email list
Okay.
to get on that. So I would say interface with me, and then we'll just CC or anything. We'll just keep him in a loop.
Yeah.
But like I said, I think that at this point he's going to be more as a.
You're the guy.
I'm the guy. He's the consultant for me
Okay.
that I can go to.
So I'll ask you at the end of this meeting just to exchange email and phone numbers
Yes.
with Scott
Are
because,
you okay with texters too? We sometimes do text chains.
That's perfectly fine.
okay, because we use both.
Okay.
All right, any other new business?
That was, no, that was,
Or compliance, I'm sorry.
that's it for this month.
Okay. Let's see. This is my favorite
It
part.
is, I know which one it is.
Public comment. Do we have anybody on the Zoom? Nobody on the Zoom. As always, the public are invited to our meetings here at the Township Building or via Zoom. This is your township, and you should know what's going on here. I have no closing comments other than it's June and school's out almost. And I do appreciate everybody stepping in last month when I couldn't be here. I have heard very positive feedback from everything that you guys did, so I appreciate that also. Any questions, comments, concerns from any other member of the commission? Okay, can I get a motion to adjourn the meeting?
I so motion.
I have a motion to adjourn. Can I get a second?
Second.
I have a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Meeting is adjourned.